have stories. Every single one of us. From the highest of the high to the lowest of the low, we all have stories. Exploring the world for the greatest stories of all time.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to the Aaron O'Dowd Show.
The Aaron O'Dowd Show. Our soul is the screen upon which we project our dreams. What's your story?
Hello and welcome on another incredible episode of the Aaron O'Dowd Show. We have another incredible guest, from farming ducks to coaching to radio shows to TV. Paul Rees is just a guy that never stops living, and he's a semi-pro cyclist. And hello and welcome to the show, Paul. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing very well, Aaron, and thank you for giving me your space.
Paul, where do you live?
Well, I'm in West Wales, deep in the country. We moved here about 2 years ago, just to come out of the noise and into the silence for a little while.
Is that a Welsh accent I hear?
It truly is, my friend, is deep valley accent.
Are you born and raised from Wales?
I am, yes. I was born in the valleys, in a mining community. Lived there. Welsh was more or less my first language. Yeah, so I am a true Taurian Welsh person.
Tell us about how your family and parents impacted you.
Oh, do you know, this is a double-edged sword, and I'll say it as quick as I can. But I'm going to say my parents were good parents. I loved, they took us on holidays, vacations, and I was well looked after. But my parents are an era of many other parents of their time. Beautiful in what they did, but very small in, I'm going to say, drive and desire.
And is that something you picked up from them in living in that environment?
No, as a child, you think your parents are your heroes, and somewhat they still are my heroes. But Aaron, I'll share this with you. My parents are beautiful, and they've given me the best 1 pint version of themselves they can. And it's a beautiful 1 pint version, but Aaron, I'm a 10-gallon person, so they just can't fill me. But they give me the best version of themselves. And I've learned from that understanding, my expectation become more fruitful rather than disappointed. But please, I love my parents.
And when did you discover you were a 10 gallon kind of guy?
Well, that started to fill in my life when I met my wife now, Deb. She brought to me an understanding of who I am in the way nobody else did. And from her openness and unconditional share, Aaron, it brought to the front a version of me that I'd never seen. Bear in mind, I'm a twice suicide survivor, and there was all kinds of cocktails in my early days in life that were driven for me, not to be here anymore. Deb really showed me the essence of what I can be, and that's something that I thrive on doing with others.
What was driving you not to be here, Paul?
Oh, such an emotional, technical question. I love it. And damn you for asking, but also thank you. Do you know, we bring with us those early day emotions and anchors and triggers and traits that we are shaped within us from our early childhood. A big one of mine was imposter syndrome. Another was the need to be recognized, the need to be seen, and I would overlive in my life in order to fulfill those three emotions. And it didn't take a lot for me to tip over and believe my worth wasn't worth my life. And I carried that emotion probably until my late 30s. Into my late 30s, I carried that emotion, and then I decided to manage it, understand it, and actually embrace those emotions to, I'm going to say, monetize my past.
And when you say fulfillment, was it fulfillment in what you were doing, or just fulfillment you as an individual through your soul and your being?
There it is. That's beautiful. Yes, fulfillment within my soul and being. I tried, Aaron, I tried fulfilling myself synthetically through my work in those first 10 years of coaching, and it took me to burnout. You cannot fulfill through work. You have to fulfill through self. And I didn't realize that until I went into burnout, and I lost 3 months of my life. And what a powerful experience.
How did that feel?
The burnout,
Yeah.
a black hole of nothing. I was 3 months in bed. Bear in mind that, I know how to ask a lot of my body. Cycling is a discipline of pain and mental endurance. So I know how to do that. The most I could do in those 3 months was actually stare at what was like a little tiny dot on the ceiling of my bedroom. And those 3 months, truthfully, I just didn't know how to get my leg out of bed. My wife would beg me. She would cry at the side of the bed. I just didn't know how to function. I was emotionally bankrupt, which then took me into physical bankruptcy. It came from, many warnings that I completely ignored, many warnings. And it was my own doing because pride, money greed, business envy, addiction to business, addiction to generosity, all those things took me to burnout.
This is probably what you're trying to fulfill in you, is the wealth of emotion, the wealth of physicality, the wealth of business, the wealth of everything.
Yes, it was a very synthetic and false and disillusioned approach to life. People couldn't resonate with that negative ego that I didn't see. I didn't get it. I was chasing the same endless road that many do in business, and that is the coin, not the purpose.
What was that breaking moment in those 3 months that got you out of bed and started moving forward in life?
Oh wow, those are beautiful questions, and I might get emotional. This one is that my wife Deb sat on the side of my bed, and Aaron, I could see in her, her soul screaming out to me, and just telling me to listen. Tell me to listen to myself. Stop listening to what I assumed people were saying to me, and people actually weren't saying anything. I was believing that I was hearing people's doubt and disappointment and people's judgment of me, and none of that was happening. It was all coming from a place of insecurity. And I could see Deb there. I could see her looking at me. I thought, you know what? I owe this girl. And it took me, oh, look at that now. Fair play, Aaron. So I looked at her and I could see in there. And there was some connection there. And I swung my leg out. I stood up, and it took me another 6 months. Another 6 months before I could walk a flight of stairs. It took me another 8 months before I could get back on my bike and pedal. But you know, I'm lucky. There are some people out that never get out of that are in it for life. Consider myself a burnout, fully recovered human being.
Is Deb your wife your inspiration in everything you do, Paul?
Oh, an inspiration is too small of a word. Deb is a multiverse angel. And everybody that gets the opportunity to have time with her has a crystallized change and a overwhelming change in thinking life. She just has that advanced understanding of think in-depth philosophy that I've not heard from anybody else or experienced from another human being.
And she was coaching you from getting out of bed each day. Come on, Paul, let's do it. And over a period of time, you actually got back on your feet and did what you loved.
You know, she did the opposite, Aaron. She let me. She let me be in the moment. She let me be in my own emotions. But she stood over me. She stood over me with her energy. Somewhat, as much as she let me be, she never let me fall. She always caught me. The deeper I went into the pain, into the frustration, into the darkness, she would catch me and pull me back. But she never rescued me in the way of took the control off me. She made sure that I experienced the full journey, so not to go back.
When you realize I'm going forward, I'm not going back, have you faltered back since then?
Oh, burnout is a memory tattoo that will never leave you, thankfully. Aaron, we are AAA type personalities. Yourself the same. We have to learn to manage that about ourselves. People find it hard to keep up with us, be around us, but yet thrive from our energy. We have to manage this. I've learned to understand what a AAA type personality is. That wasn't something I learned for myself. When I finally found a specialist, a medical specialist that was more open-minded than any other GP or A&E that I'd gone to out of desperation because I thought I was dying. I sat down in his office and he said, "The only thing that's wrong with you, my friend, is you're a AAA type personality. You don't learn to manage it." He said, and that's what happens when you ignore that about yourself. And we have to manage that. And yes, I have constant reminders that I can also hurt myself as much as I can be more successful in life I can never imagine.
How did you feel and know when you were feeling that you were dying inside and when you heard that being reflected back to you?
And you know, I would wake up in the night crying, in pain. Burnout is feels like you've got 10 hangovers, 20 doses of flu, and 3 COVID doses on top. It is the most horrific feeling I've ever had in an illness. The pain was immense all through body. I would wake up sobbing in my sleep. You know, and there was times that Aaron that I said to the universe, okay, I'm ready. I've had enough. I would call out to my guides. I would say, tonight, I'm ready to go. Can't do this anymore. Can't do the pain. Can't do the emotional suffering. And I would plead on the side of my bed for that night to be my last night. Burnout is a very misunderstood emotion in the business world, in the entrepreneurial world. People do not get the severity of what some people go through in the highest rate of what burnout can be. But I begged for my life to finish many times to get me out of the emotional, physical, and mental stress that I put myself in. So it was a hard emotion. But you know what? I look back and I thank the universe. I thank myself for the appreciation of that experience, because it taught me so much about myself and about life.
So you're building your life, you're getting back on the pedals, you're out in the countryside, you're starting to grow again. How does that feel, being back out there and being noticeable, seen, heard, and understood?
It feels wonderful, but I do it for me now. You know, everything I did before burnout was for other people, for me to feel good. Now I'm a recovered, generous person. Now I am a positively selfish person. Now I'm someone that when I measure my activities, I look at the return, the emotional return for myself to maintain a full balance of who I am, so my Deb can have the best version of me. That is my philosophy now. I only work with clients I'm gonna learn from, not get drained from. I only surround myself by people that can add value to a conversation rather than take the value of my conversation. So many things have changed in my life in that way, and I have burnout to thank for that. The truth being, Aaron, if it wasn't as serious and as inflicting as it was on me, I would have worked through it and ignored it. You're an athlete. You understand managing pain. You understand that it takes a hell of a lot to knock us off our feet, and to take notice without giving it some feeble excuse of, I'll try again, I'll go again, I'll pass it. My body will manage. My body will forgive me. My body needed not to forgive me. And I'm in a much, much healthier place in life. You know, burnout was many years ago, but the strains of what you get from burnout remain with you for good reason.
It's a reminder of the pain, but also the reminder of the beauty to go forward and change the reality of how we live.
So, absolutely. Absolutely.
Tell us, Paul, why did you get into cycling?
Well, as a kid, I started with a BMX, and I loved the idea of jumping, and I just loved what the field biking did for me. And then I remember watching an early bike race, a local bike race, and it just lit me up inside. I loved the feel of what I was seeing, and it just kind of grew from there. But biking has become my prescription in life. It's my medication. Biking is what keeps me sane. Biking is more than just an activity for me. It's well-being. And Deb says, Paul, we sell the house before you sell your bike. And you know, she values, and Deb is someone that promotes me more to get out than what I do. She'll watch me, and Aaron, you know, we don't go into burnout for no reason. We're going to burn out because we are stubbornly, aggressively driven. And Deb will say, Paul, you haven't been on your bike for 2 days. You need to go out. She reads me well. So biking is my all-rounded health, wealth, and nature.
I know you got to semi-pro. Tell us about that.
That was mountain biking. So mountain biking was and still is, I'm going to say, my favorite discipline within biking, although I like it all. I have many bikes for many different disciplines. But it was the early days of mountain biking. And the bikes were not as sophisticated as what they are now. The kit wasn't as sophisticated, but it was fun. It was great. And yeah, it wasn't a science sport like it is now either. It was, you know, grab a good cooked breakfast and go and race. So yeah, it was wonderful. And those days yeah, they really did set, I'm going to say, the discipline to looking after myself. Besides, of course, for the burnout blip.
And what do you love about mountain biking?
Freedom. I'm a Taurus, so I love the country. I love the forestry. I love the wooded area. It's where I get my energy. It's I get so aligned when I go on my bike, in myself and my thoughts.
And when you're out there, is there a particular course you like going to, or are you just happy to be out in the nature?
I'm happy to be out in nature. I mean, I am a man of repeated habits. So if I find a route that I like, I will tend to exhaust it and do it over and over where I'm trying to beat my times and things like this. I mean, that's the nature of, I think, being an old athlete of some nature anyway, years ago. But I have my Garmin and I do, place myself against myself. So, but overall, I'd like to take my bike anywhere I can.
And as an old athlete, do you wish you were racing today?
No, no, because I overdosed in it and I would overdose in it again. Now I love doing endurance events, sportives and things, because that's something I do for myself, but pressing myself to get on that podium, no, I stopped enjoying it. I stopped enjoying what I was doing because I was too focused on the greed of being on the platform, on the podium, rather than just taking part in the event. And I put that um, unnecessary pressure on myself because I felt I was being judged all the time back in those days.
As a type A individual, do you feel the pressure? I have to do this, the adrenaline kick, the addiction in you?
Um, Yes and no now. At 56 years of age, I would like to think that I've mastered myself a little more than what I did at 26 and certainly at 16. Um, I enjoy that adrenaline, but not like I used to. I don't need to go out on the mountain bike and hit the major down the side of a mountain downhills. I am now far more gentle on my body, but I still love the feel of what the bike does for me. But I don't chase the kind of adrenaline anymore like I used to. I feel I have more control now, or I feel I'm more in tune with myself.
And probably your experience of burnout made you realize that I need to change my perspective and how I look at things.
Oh, 100%, Aaron. Burnout is a life changer. And there's a lot more aggressive, you know, health issues out there, cancer and all these things. Burnout is pretty harmless compared, but it was very relevant to me.
You talk about physical greed, emotional greed, spiritual greed. What, what and how did that shape in your life and as well as overcoming it?
I mean, I'm going to swap out the greed to addiction because you're right. It was when addiction comes from basically envy in this nature. When you look at, money envy, business envy, client envy, lifestyle envy, all these things for many are drivers in their business, drivers in their life. And, that was a big influencer to the first, perhaps 13 years of my business career. And that realization again, tandeming that onto the burnout. And there is no place in business for envy. There's no place. You can't drive a business into success through the emotion of envy. It will not survive.
And that's why you got into business.
Because every career I went in just wasn't fulfilling enough. Um, you know, I love the idea of potentializing everything to its maximum. And that's also my Achilles heel, or my thorn in the side, is that if I have it, I got to maximize it, everything. But also, I'm a just in case kind of person. So when you maximize something and you're a just in case kind of person, it's like oil and water. They're both fluid, but they don't really mix. So I opened my business because I felt that I could do more in life. That was basically it. And I wanted to be a better version of myself. I felt that I was kind of lost in the world of capped employment. There wasn't much further I could go. So I thought, you know what? It can't be hard. Business is just common sense. And it did turn out to be that way. And it was just common sense. I winged myself into different countries through my accent and cheeky nature. And I realized, wow, that was just easy. But I didn't have much authenticity in those days, or integrity either, sadly.
Why did you wing it or fake it till you make it?
Because I didn't have any education behind me. I didn't have any business degree. I didn't have a great deal of business experience. What I did understand was emotions, and I understand emotional intelligence. My first business was called Emotional Corporate Training. And I couldn't get it anywhere in this country. Couldn't get it going in this country. Emotional corporate training. They just looked at me like, what? Who are you? Some kind of hocus pocus spook. But I got it into America. I managed, because there they were like that little bit ahead in that mindset. So I managed to get me into America and Canada. So yeah, that was my initial, I'm going to say, apprenticeship. A shock to the system, but yeah, really enjoyed what I learned out there for a period of time.
And then you bounce the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right?
That is exactly it. I sometimes didn't give my product time to sell before I grew another one and another one and another one. And it's taken me 20 years to master the management of not creating another product when the one I have, I get bored with. That's something I've had to learn to manage, because I'm not bored with it. It's anxiety that's created through imposter syndrome, and again, judgment that's not there.
Where and when was that moment to realize, okay, I'm doing, it's working, but
Oh, no less than about 4 years ago, and no less than perhaps 2 years ago, no less than 1 year ago. Trust me, Aaron, it's a constant addiction that you have to manage. No less than 2 weeks ago. In fact, I was at 3:30 a.m. this morning rebuilding one of my products.
wow. And what inspires you to do that?
There's a drive in me that I love rebuilding and bringing a new shape to it. And sometimes that shape hasn't had a chance to sell yet. It's old shape, but I love it. I've just changed all my services on my website because I felt that I have more to offer. And there is this, in the industry of mind coaching, because basically any coach is coaching from experience, from thoughts and life. And I like to say that, I have a philosophy that every 10 clients I put my prices up, because every 10th client, I am 10 clients more experienced. Which means if I'm still delivering the same product from 20 clients ago, that's out of date because I'm 20 clients more experienced. And that philosophy also can be a thorn in the side, because then I'm rebuilding from the last 20 clients' experience. So that is what gets in the way of me staying stagnant, because I use that philosophy all the time. So that's why I was at 3:30 this morning, excited by my laptop and rebuilding this particular product, because I'm like, wow, I've learned these last clients. So I'm going to put it in, and I'm now going to deliver that, and it's reframed, renamed, and repriced.
Have you figured out your mission in this life?
Wow. You know, my mission in this life is to add value to myself and then demonstrate that value so others can use it for themselves in their shape and size.
And
That's
what,
my mission in my life.
wow, what's your dream?
Actually, I don't have a dream. I have a knowing. I think if my dream would sit into the place of dream. So use my knowing. I run a business. I run a business to make life currency. The monetary portion of my business, I insist it comes in a satisfactory level to allow my life currency to be the priority. So my life currency is freedom. Now, if you meet an entrepreneur that says, you know, I need 80 million pounds to have lifestyle freedom. I don't need 80 million pounds. Would I like it 80 million pounds? Well, if someone wished to give that to me, but do I want to work 60 hours a week to have 80 million pound in my bank account? Absolutely not. Do I want to work 10 hours a week to have £1 million in my bank account? Yeah, that would be fab. You know, what is my absolute goal? Well, our goal is a piece of off-grid land and a stack of well-designed containers, no power plugged in, no gas plugged in, and we live independently. That is my next 20 years. I've had the house. I live in a barn in the middle of nowhere right now. It's beautiful. But is that the rest of my life? Well, if it was, Aaron, then I've stood still and my record of life is stuck. So I wish to experience every style of living and every style of home living. I live in my van, my camper van. I live in a home. I'm going to live off grid. I have no intentions of being in my home for the rest of my life. I feel that's wasted experience.
Fuels you to make that dream possible.
My life with Deb, my wife, because she is aligned in those dreams, knowings for herself. So we share the same purpose, which is freedom. But freedom isn't staying in one place. That's control. That's controlling your freedom. I don't wish to control my freedom. I want my freedom to have all the freedom that it asks of me. So my drive is I have no wish to control my freedom. And if my freedom says, okay, Paul, you're going to spend the next 6 months traveling in your van and you're going to live basically and lightly and easily, then my freedom's going to get that, regardless of other people's opinions, understandings, or I'm going to say measures, because my freedom comes first.
Deb is your bedrock of who you are and what you are, and tell us how you guys met.
We met at the place called the Arthur Findlay of Psychic and Science. So when I met Deb, I was a full-time psychic medium. And that's what I did for a living. And I went to the College of Psychic and Science in Stansted, called the Arthur Findlay College, to basically understand the process of what I was doing for a living on a more authentic and deliverable level. When I went there, Deb was in the same class as myself. And she was again a medium herself, and she lived in Southampton, and we met there, and we in the class together, in the bar together, and from there we just we really got on, hit it off. It was beautiful. After the week, we parted ways. She gave me a phone number. I phoned her about 3 weeks later, or a month later, which was close to Christmas, I went to visit her in Southampton twice. The third visit, she packed her bags, her 2 cats, and moved to Wales.
Wow. And tell us why you wanted to become a medium.
I was actually, it was a fluke. I went to the fortune teller that my mother went to every couple of months, because I was going through a really difficult first marriage. And I went there because I was at the point of nowhere. And she said to me, this medium said, "Paul, you can do this." She said to me in the oddest sense, "Your grandmother's here, and she's telling me that you could be a medium." And I was like, "What?" And she said, "Find yourself a spiritualist church." And that's what I did. And I went to spiritualist church on what they called open circle night. So anybody could go in and experience what it felt like to receive or give what they said was, a mediumship message. And I went there, Aaron, and I just watched it in this circle, and I thought, this has just got to be common sense, emotions, feelings, and authenticity. And 2 weeks later, I was working in a shop doing full-time one-to-one readings for a living.
And before this, did you grow up in a spiritual background in your family?
No, nothing. Nothing. You see, that's what made, and then myself and Deb, we got together, we made the company, and we traveled all over the US and Canada, conducting workshops, demonstrations in theaters, televisions, books, radio. We did it all. And we had the philosophy that we're all born mediums, and there wasn't a given workshop where there was a person that couldn't, and hadn't delivered authentic, evidential mediumship. It's very easy. Wisdom, how to hold wisdom for longer periods of time. When you are working with that, when you're working with mental mediumship, you work in your wisdom. You learn to expand your energy and hold it for hour after hour after hour. And that's something I teach to executives. There's some executives that I've taught mediumship to not because they wish to use mediumship, but they wish to hold that place of wisdom longer for greater ideas.
Executives learning mediumship and wisdom, that's a new one. But it's cool when you think about it, we are all wise.
I've been doing that for many years. Many years.
And what did mediumship teach you?
It taught me respect. It taught me wisdom. It taught me how to listen with my mind rather than my ears. It taught me to listen to my thoughts. It taught me to hear my frequency in myself and be able to listen to me. It taught me that it taught me awareness at a very high level. Taught me how to hear awareness and hear people's awareness. This isn't with my biological listening. It's listening emotionally. It taught me all that.
They're tools we all need to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what is success for you, Paul?
Success for me is two things. Again, freedom. That's what success is for me, and the freedom to have in my life for me and Deb to make the choices, have the choices that are not restricted by the control of other people. And the truth being, Aaron, I'm very much there. There are versions of entrepreneurs that many people are chasing. The majority of people are chasing the money entrepreneur. And I've been there, and I've had that experience. And money does give you choices, but it doesn't remove sadness. Happiness isn't the result of removing sadness. happy money isn't the result of having more. Life currency has a far greater value than money currency. And if you have that understanding and philosophy in life, you will always have money currency because it thrives in life currency. It thrives. So those are my philosophies, my reasonings. My reasoning for coming in my office at 3:30 a.m. and excitedly building a new version of something. That to me wasn't a task. I have my freedom today. And if I choose to take a nap today, I'll take a nap today. I have a schedule that I put in place that falls around my knowing. It falls around my knowing. Ara and I work 2 days a week. The third, fourth, and fifth day are my days of choice. I may go and do a day's worth of filming. I may decide to build another product. I may decide to go out to my bike and then meditate. I may decide to do all those things. Does that mean that I earn a monetary less measure than the person that will put 5 days into their business? You bet your life it does. But those 3 days give me more profit in life than what I'll get from working behind my desk for the 3 days. It's all perception. The radio show is a UK health radio. Oh, I've said it. I don't know if I could say where I've said it, and you may edit it out if you need. So I met the owner at a business conference many years ago. We were both on the same table and basically starting out a new journey in our own businesses. And we just got talking, and he said, you know, I love your philosophies, and I'd like you to do a show. I'm the only business talk show on there because it's UK Health Radio. So it's full of amazing individuals that are top of their game in all kind of health, wealth, well-being. Yeah, metaphysical and we're going to say clinical. It's a very beautiful station. So I learned my interviewing shape on there. When I went on there and decided for the show, I decided that I wanted to learn how to deep dive interview. And, you know, it's taken me about 5 years to really master, for me, what is a life interview. And I used that opportunity with the radio show to master that, which has now gone into, of course, my out there live TV life documentary business. So there was a huge benefit from learning to interview on there and putting myself in you know, edgy situations where I would be interviewing out in the field as well as one-to-one and through Zoom. So yeah, and the TV part of my work is that where I do deep dive life story interviews, and I've just finished one with a chap that was the most sought after criminal in Europe. But what an amazing individual, amongst other things. So yeah, and I love that part of my life. I really enjoy bringing those legacy life stories to the front through my YouTube channel, and where people can really experience commonalities which will remove hope into opportunity.
Have you reached that master level interviewer yet, or are you still exploring?
Oh, Aaron, I am a puppy in this game, and I hope that it takes me 3 lifetimes to get there, or maybe 10. But I'm going to say that I am definitely at the place where I feel I've created a shape and a niche for myself in how I interview my my clients, interviewees, I feel that it's created a purposeful reason. So I feel I'm kind of there, but I'm going to really enjoy looking back at these early life story interviews 10 years from now and see the shape of change. If not, then I need a good talking to.
And why do you do it?
Oh man, I am by nature a very nosy person. By nature, I'm a very inquisitive person. So this opportunity to deep dive into people's lives, and there's 12 hours of research before we even go into filming, of deep dive calls where we go through we surgically dissect their life and the journey of every emotion. So for me, it's fun. It's so exciting, so rewarding. It fills me. It fills me more than my coaching, and I love my coaching, but it fills me because by nature, I'm a very nosy person.
And is that something you picked up through your life, or are you just naturally a nosy person?
Do you know, I am. I have stories where my mother says, Paul, it was so awkward when you asked that question of my friend. I would be that kind of person that would ask those odd questions, but never in school. In school, I never asked anything because education I just found so awkwardly punishing. I didn't find education had any purpose for me, even though I have a degree now. I have a degree and these things, but yeah. So I never asked questions in school, but about life. Oh man, I was just the questionnaire.
And where does it come from?
That is a darn great question, and the answer to that is I just don't know. Um, I think. Actually, I don't. There isn't an answer there. I'm someone that just oddly likes to know more.
Paul, what kind of advice would you give someone if they met you for the first time, or say rang you up and say, I need something? What would it be?
Please be transparent with me because I get very insecure. No, I'm quite a shy person, believe it or not. So if you're gonna come up and have a conversation with me, um, I enjoy small talk, but give me your best. Give me your best. Never doubt that any conversation with myself will be taken as a damned opinion of who you are. So if you can have a conversation with me, give me your best. Be open.
Why are you shy?
Um, I think that is part of my own goal or a portion that I'm still working on myself. Um, I'm a terrible salesperson because the word no, I'm still working on. The word no isn't just a rejection, it's a dissolve for me that I'm working on. So yeah, terrible salesperson. Picking up the phone, it'll ring and ring and I'll leave it. Um, maybe the word shy isn't the right word. I'm not sure yet, and I'm guess that's something I still have to figure out.
You grapple with confidence in you.
I do. There are pockets of micro confidence that rule my overall confidence. And those pockets are again opportunities. Aaron, I can have down days that are seriously down, where the curtain on life will come down on me, and then I know I'm in for a workshop. I know I'm in for a workshop that day, and my priority is to understand my thoughts. Being a thought leader, which is what you are, I am, and many other people. As a thought leader, I have to find workshops that allow me to work on my managing quality of how I think. And that can only come through what is my opportunity to work on me. So what happens then, Aaron, is those days, those hard days where I just fall into a black hole, I know they're my workshop days.
So 100 years later, when you're still knocking around, you'll still be figuring out this burnout, mental health, cleaning the mind, right?
Well, I like to think that I would have thought through that and the universe would have given me much tougher opportunities.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, it's okay to pee the bed because it doesn't stay with you forever. I would say that please don't feel that you need everybody else's approval for you to be the version of what they want you to be. Those two things. And don't drink so much in your early teens.
Paul, if there's anything we haven't covered or anything you'd like to share, what would it be?
Oh, wow. You covered so much, Aaron, as you do, because you're a very skilled interviewer. You know, I think if there was something that I want to cover, I would say, for those who are listening, your version of who you are, your true version of who you are, comes from your emotional fingerprint. Don't reshape you to please somebody else's doubt of themselves. I guess for myself here, Aaron, we've covered the depth of who I am in a way that very few people have asked me. So we've not left much unturned here, for sure.
Paul, I want to say thank you so much for being the individual you are and inspiring the world to move and empower the way you do.
Oh, Aaron, you're an amazing individual, and it stoked me to be on your podcast here. It's been beautiful. I love you to bits, my friend, and I am also privileged to be in our Together support group.
Thank you for listening to the Aaron O'Dowd Show, where the world's best stories are told. We're always ready to share another magnificent tale from the world's best storytellers. So stay tuned and rock on.